Hello, hello. It is Wednesday evening, July 24th. Did you guys realize that we're already halfway through the year? Yeah, this is a lot. What I was going to remind you guys of is at the end of each year, I do a video about, well, I think I title it Questions to Design Your Future. So I tell everyone that I take the last 5 days of the calendar year to reflect on the prior year and figure out my goals for the next year. It's not a New Year's resolution thing, it's nothing like that. It's serious because you need to make sure that you know where you're going. And what is that saying? If you don't know where you're going, you're going to get there. So, this questionnaire that I got from a life coach back in the early 2000s has stuck with me. And I do this every year. I have it all in a notebook, one big notebook. So there are 8 questions in this questionnaire. And what you're supposed to do is copy at least 5 pages of this questionnaire. And then you're supposed to complete them for as many areas in your life that you want change or improvement. Some of them you're going to write down. What I would suggest is writing it down on paper, and because some of the changes that you want or some of the dreams that you have are kind of similar, and then you kind of combine them into maybe 5 different ones. So I'm not going to go through all the questions. I just wanted to tell you this so that you can go out there and look for it. I think it's in a video called Questions to Design Your Future on my website, but I mean on my YouTube channel. But the things the first 3 questions are very critical. And a lot of people don't want to fill this thing out because it's confrontational and the person that is confronting is you. The first question is, what do I want? You have to know what you want. A lot of people don't know what they want. They go on floating through life and they have no idea where they're going. And children do that, but as adults, we're not supposed to do that. I remember being la di da di da, when I was 15 or 16 years old. And until my dad said, "When you're 18, you're getting out," and he meant that. And he said, "If you go to college, you can stay here. If you go to a college that's in the city, you can stay at home. But otherwise, when you're 18, you're getting out. So you might as well start making some plans." And that really straightened me up. But what do you want is the first question. The second one is, why do you want it? You got to know why you want it. In other words, why is this thing important to you? And the third question, which is even more critical as far as I'm concerned, is, what are you willing to give up to get it? We have 24 hours in a day. And these days go by so fast and they're over. And it's like, what did you do today to improve yourself? For example, you could sit there, and I know people that will sit there and watch those little shorts. And before they know it, an hour and a half is going by. They've watched all these shorts and they can't even remember 10 of them. These things are designed to trap you. That's why I call it the electronic income reducer and the electronic intellect reducer, because that's what it does, the television and even the videos. But we have to be very intentional about what we do with our time. So what I want to do, and I want to pull there we go, that's a little bit better. What I want to do today is talk about what's been going on in the workforce. So I had a conversation today with a client and the client's assistant, or uh, secretary or whatever, and to see how they were doing. And I catch up with them. I hadn't talked to them in a minute since I gotten back from Costa Rica. And it was said that they are swamped with work, which I said, that's a good thing. And then she said, no, because we are literally turning down contracts. We're turning down, multi-million-dollar contracts and stuff. And I said, well, why are you doing that? And she says, because we're doing it on our own. And I said, don't tell me you can't find any good help, because I'm hearing this everywhere. All the business owners that I know are commenting, unless they already have a team or a staff in place that they've grown over several years, they can't find good help. So this company that I'm working with deals with a trade. So I'm trying to be proactive and help them. I was like, okay, why don't you go and look and go to some of the trade schools that are around you, even all over the state, not necessarily just in your town, and find out who's graduating, talk to the counselors or the teachers or whatever, and grab those up that are graduating, so that you can catch them right out of school and teach them, and then you can get it rolling. They have a learning curve, but at least you'll have some reliable, good people. This is what she said, we've been there, we've done that, but it did not work. And I'm going to tell you what she said about why going to a trade school and getting a graduate, somebody that's about to graduate from the school, not necessarily with bad grades, but with good grades. She said they talk a good game, but what they do, number one, they don't show up on time. They don't want to learn how to do it the way that the owner wants to do it. In other words, they want to do it their way, whatever they learned in school. It really doesn't matter what you learned in school. It doesn't make sense to me for somebody to think, oh, I learned this in school, so I'd rather do it this way. When this person, number one, is writing your paycheck, and number two, has been doing this 20, 30, maybe even 40 years. So they do that. They'll do stuff like that. And she said that some work is jacked up because they didn't follow the instructions. So even some of them that do have, follow what the owner is saying, are not doing it correctly because they weren't following instructions. And the other thing that she said, for let me back up on that one. See, instructions are very important. If you're a worker, regardless of whether you're just getting out of school or whether you've been in the workforce for a while, the management or owner or whatever is giving you instructions for a reason. For example, when I was a CPA, I had a big contract. It was a huge contract, and I had to do a lot of audit reports. And I hired somebody. See, I'm always that person that thinks that I can get it all. So I was back then. I needed to get all this work done because I had this really almost $1 million contract, and my house was dirty, and I needed to clean it and all that. So I said, you know what? I was telling people this. I'm going to find me somebody that can clean the house and that can do administrative work. And they was like, "You're not going to find anybody like that. You're not." So I said, "Yes, I'm pretty sure that I can find somebody to take a little bit of their time to clean up, maybe wash the dishes and stuff like that, and then do this work." Well, I did find somebody. So I was like, yeah, I found somebody. And it was so interesting because for whatever reason, sometimes people don't take you seriously. I think this young lady, for whatever reason, it could have been a racial thing. In other words, because I'm another black woman, she didn't have to, be on her P's and Q's. Number one, this was way back before we had cell phones. So we all had landlines. And I would call back to the office if I was at an audit or something, and the phone would be busy. Well, why would the phone be busy if you weren't on it? But the main thing was I had to do these audit reports, and all I asked her to do was check for typos. She went beyond checking for typos, and she changed the grammar of these reports. And the bad thing about it was the grammar of these reports was put together by the people that were paying us. That's the way they wanted them to sound. So I come home one day, and she had done 14 reports over and says, well, these weren't grammatically correct. So I changed all of them, and I'm looking at her like, what did you do? So I started looking at the reports, and I realized that she changed the way they wanted the reports to do. And I just sat her down and I said, I ask you to check for typos. You have changed the grammar in these reports. This is the way these people want their reports to be. So needless to say, she was gone because aside from being on the phone, that kind of thing. So this is what happens when, as far as you can't get good help. And these days we have cell phones. I have hired somebody to build a caged in. I have some raised bed gardens, raised bed raised beds for vegetables in my backyard. And I don't want to compete with the chipmunks and stuff to eat up their stuff. So I hired somebody to cage it in, just make it where I can open up a little, maybe like chicken fence door. I guess that's what you call it, the chicken wire. And I can get in, but creatures can't get in. So maybe bugs can get in, that flying bugs, but the birds can't get to the tomatoes, and all those other creatures that try to get in, they can't get in. And I watched out the window, and it was during football season. And this guy was on his phone 75% of the time that he was doing this. So, needless to say, I didn't ask them to come back, and they did finish it. But anyway, so getting good help is an issue. And one other story I wanted to tell you, this is a really interesting one. So, this guy hired a young man, and the young man didn't want to wear a belt. And he, was walking around, and this was a restaurant situation. So he was doing things in the back of the restaurant, holding his pants up. So at the end of the day, the boss called him over and said, "Hey, here's your pay." And then the guy said, "Well, this isn't all the money that you're supposed to pay me, because you're supposed to get paid daily." So, well, yeah, that's all the money, because it's only half. Well, yeah, it's only half because you only used one hand. The whole other time you held your pants up with the other hand. So I thought that was hilarious, but it's not, because it's like, what would make you think that you're going to get away with working all day holding your pants up? Just wear a belt. I'm not going to even tell you what happened to my son when he was a teenager when he tried that with me. Anyway, it's like nobody wants to work hard. I think what happens is kids are getting out of school and they have a sense of entitlement. They think they're going to get a job and live the soft life. A lot of these children, their parents may have grown up, poor, and then they get into the middle class and they say to themselves, "I'm going to give my children everything that I didn't have, that I wanted when I was young." And it's really detrimental. It's really, really detrimental, because they come out thinking that they deserve everything. And is the logic behind it. I can understand you wanting your children to have stuff, but it gets to the point where these children are just rotten. Well, I mean, spoiled. And when I was talking today with the business owner, there was a quote that was said, and I'm going to give Michelle credit for this. She said, "They have unrealistic expectations of their non-existent skills." I said, wow. They have unrealistic expectations of their non-existent skills. So they get out of school with a degree. I have a master's degree. I have a whatever. You have no experience, and you think that because you have this degree, everybody's supposed to roll out the red carpet. It's not happening. Um, I think some of the things that happened were like kids got a trophy for participation. I remember being in school and people that, excelled got trophies. Maybe the first three people got a trophy, and then everybody else got like a certificate of participation. But now everybody gets a trophy. So the person that worked hard and did all the work gets a trophy, but the person who sat on their kabunka gets a trophy too, which is, not helping the incentive of people to get better. That's how socialism works, though. My educator friend, I have a good friend that's an educator in high school, and she's been an educator for a while. And she says that they can't give out F's and D's. So F is when you are failure, and a D is, when you just didn't do well. She said that when she used to turn these things in, she used to get them basically thrown back in her face, and told that all those kids that got F's and D's, she had to give them C's. So nobody wants to hire anybody that can't string a sentence together. And that's what's happening. These kids are graduating from high school. First of all, they can't read, they can't write, and they don't have any skills, but they have this certificate that says that they finished high school. And then some of them go to college, some of them don't. But I said 25 years ago, I saw this about 25, maybe even 30 years ago, that these children were not properly educated. They were indoctrinated, but they weren't educated. They couldn't read, they couldn't write, and they couldn't do math. I used to work in McDonald's in high school, my junior and senior year. And there were times that the cash registers went out. They were computerized or whatever. And I was the only one at the register because I knew how to do math in my head. So if somebody's order, back then, McDonald's was cheap. If somebody's order was, let's say $3.86, I knew that I had to give them $1.14 back. So that's 3.86, and then 14 cents makes it 4, and then $1 makes it 5. But that was just math, just simple basic math. That's not happening these days. This is what I see. They're not able to survive in this world without skills. And a lot of places, and I'm pretty sure, if you know the answer to this, put it in the chat. I heard that fast food restaurants don't even hire people that don't have their high school diploma or GED. So even in order to work in a place like Wally World or McDonald's, I think you have to have at least a high school diploma or the GED, the equivalent of the high school diploma. They don't have that. If they have that and they just kind of skated on through and made a whole bunch of C's, then what skills do they have? So I see people out on the street every day. It used to be before 2020, 2021, where there were pockets where the traffic was bad. So in Atlanta, you got a pocket from, let's say, 6:30 in the morning till 9:30 in the morning. And then maybe around 10 o'clock, between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, the traffic wasn't all that bad, maybe a little bit during lunch. And then, well, maybe about 3. And then 3 o'clock till 7 o'clock, there was a lot of traffic. Well, these days, every hour, there's a whole bunch of traffic. I pass by the mall. I don't shop. I don't go to the mall. Pass by the mall, and there's tons of people at the mall. Pass by Wally World. There's tons of people at Wally World. And I'm thinking, this is during the work hour. Where are these people getting money? So one day, I took my granddaughter. I was running late getting her to her school. Oh, and I did this, y'all. I went to Burger King and got a cheese and egg croissant. She doesn't like meat. So it was 7:30 in the morning. Now, mind you, 7:30. Her school starts at 8. It's 7:30. Maybe I had just gotten back in town and didn't have any food in my house or whatever, but I went and there were 2 people in the Burger King. One man at the window. The inside wasn't open. One man at the window and one man cooking. Because I was looking. It's like, and then he opened up the window and I told him what I wanted and he rung it up, and the order was right, but the dollars were wrong. And he said, "I'm sorry, I don't have the key to the safe to give you your money, your change." And it wasn't but $2. And I was like, she's got to eat. So I asked him, I said, "Well, where is everybody?" And he shrugged his shoulders and he said, "I don't know." And then I said, "I see all these people running around all day long during lunch and 11 and 12 and 2 o'clock. I said, I see them in the malls and stuff. I mean, in Walmart, and I see them in the parking lots. And what are they doing for money?" And without hesitation, he said, "They're scamming." That shocked me because he had an answer. He knew exactly what these people were doing for money. They're scamming. And then I started paying more attention to all the scams that are going on out there, regardless of whether they're on, with the banks and pillaging and all these other things. Like they had one on YouTube not too long ago where people were trying to patronize these young men that were selling water. There are a lot of guys that are selling water on the street. And they would say, "I don't have any cash," which y'all need to carry cash. Now, my mama told me always have a $20 bill somewhere on my person. Carry cash, but they didn't have any cash. So they would put their cash app out and then they would look. And then instead of it being $1 or $5 or whatever it was for what they bought, it was more like $50 or $100. So that's one of the scams. But anyway, people are scamming people. They're just scamming people. Another issue we have with this entitlement is the minimum wage. I understand that you can't live on $10 an hour. I understand that. I understand that a lot of people made decisions in their lives that caused them not to be able to make a lot of money. I understand that. Not down in anybody. However, the $20 an hour minimum wage is killing those jobs in California. It's not in every state. That's what one of the ladies said. The lady that I was talking to about their business said that these people come in right out of the gate expecting that they're going to get $20 an hour. Now that's not a national thing, it's a California thing. But if you pay attention, go in there and read and figure out how many people lost their jobs when California decided to have a minimum wage of $20. And then now you got AI coming in and taking jobs, you got robots, you got, the cashiers are going away. So it's a lot going on. So I'm going to tell you after I'm going to go through the chat, and then I'm going to tell you what you can do about this. So this young lady pulled a micromanager move on you. Okay. The arrogance is at an all-time high among people. And I would say among everybody, but I think the young people, I don't know. Yes, please hit the like button. Please. It helps. Entitlement is crazy. Intelligence is out the door. And I think it's all by design. I mean, it doesn't, the way the government schools are taking away phonics and putting in this new math and all these other things, it's all by design. And I tell people that can educate your children at home or try to put them somewhere else, but the government schools aren't helping. They they indoctrinate kids so they can go get a job, and the workforce is going away. The baby boomers, I think they said it's like 100,000 baby boomers retiring every day. And so for everybody that's working, there's a whole bunch of people about to collect Social Security that or are collecting Social Security. So that's a whole nother story for another day, but that's a dangerous situation. Okay, Laurel said, I worked at Wendy's. Nobody that I work with can count back change. And it was like, this was in the 80s, guys. I was in high school. I graduated from high school in 1980. I'm going to tell you my age. I'm 61. But for those 2 years I was at McDonald's, they would push me up to the cash register and I had to do everything. I'll tell you a story. This is crazy. So I got busy one time. This really wasn't one of the time that the cash register broke down. But I was really busy or something was distracting me or whatever. And these people came in. They were from out of town. They were, just stopping to get something and get back on the road. And part of the family wanted McDonald's, and we had a Kentucky Fried Chicken next door to the McDonald's. So I got their order, put it up there, gave them their order, and I gave them their change. And as they drove off, I realized that I was short $20. In other words, they had a big order and I didn't collect $20. So let's say their order was $40.50. I collected $20, and I took off out that door and I ran those people down. I walked them down. I ran track, by the way. By the time they got on the road before they got to the Kentucky Fried Chicken, I caught up with them and they were laughing. They gave me the $20. They knew that I messed up. They didn't come back. They didn't have the integrity to come back and say, you know what? And this is what I do. I'll do it in a minute. You gave me too much change. They didn't do that. But when I caught up with them in my little McDonald's suit flying, they laughed. But these are the kind of things that happen sometimes. Anyway, let me get back to the chat. I think it depends on your state. Yeah, the $20 an hour thing is not everywhere, but California is usually the test state for everything that goes on here, whether it be good or bad. And in California, if you go out, I didn't get a chance today, guys, to go and figure out how to put pictures or videos in to show you, but I did snapshot where the jobs in California are being decimated. There are three things that are happening with this $20 thing. Number one, a lot of people are losing their jobs, or a lot of people are losing the amount of hours that they used to have because the company is trying to keep everybody, but they can't pay everybody or several companies have closed their doors. There are companies that have been around over 20 years in California that close their doors because they cannot afford the mandate of a $20 an hour. So everybody was cheering that thing on without the foresight of what was going to happen. Okay. So jobs are crazy. Jobs are crazy. A lot of people are doing stuff online like OnlyFans or YouTube content. Now, of course, you know that I'm not into the OnlyFans thing. Um, but a lot of people are doing content on YouTube. It's not something that I want to do full time right now, but a lot of people are doing very well. I know content creators that started out with like maybe 3,000 subscribers and maybe 100 people watching at a time, and they've gotten over 100,000, or they're having 1,000 or 2,000 people watching at a time. So that's excellent. But they do this full time. You know, I know one of them went from being an Uber driver to being a full time content creator, and it's appreciated when someone's watching your content that they give the super chats and all that, because the content on YouTube is better than what they have on the television. I don't watch television. When I'm eating or doing, having some downtime, I'm in front of this computer or my other one watching YouTube videos, because there's nothing for me on televisions. ABC, CBS, NBC, all those series and all that are just to indoctrinate you. Let's see. Only hiring bilingual speakers. Okay, so I had a meeting, and they were bosses, and they were discussing the fact that now when they hire people, the people have to be they have to have different things that they can do. They can't just be a one item person. They have to be able to perform more than one thing on that job. So yes, somebody that speaks Spanish and English, or someone that can do the bookkeeping and also answer the phones, or yeah, they're doing that now. So be aware of that. They don't want somebody to just come in and say, I have such and such degree and I can do this. Well, you got, the more things that you can do, it's a shame. The more things that you can do, then the more likely they are to hire you. Now, it's okay if that's because if somebody else is off or sick, then you take their place. But a lot of people are being worked like slaves because they used to have 20 people in the department, and now they have 12 people in the department, and those 12 are taking up all the work for the 8 that left. I've been walking off jobs and interviews because they are so unprofessional. That's another thing that I noticed that Rhapsody '09, a lot of these companies are very, very unprofessional. I've dealt with that. I've dealt with that today a little bit through another client about how they've been treated unprofessionally. Even when you're giving your money to a company for a service, it's unprofessional. And a lot of times it has to do with who they have answering the phone. You got to be careful if you have a business who you have answering the phone. You really do, because you can lose business that way. If somebody's got an attitude, what we call a tude, and they're answering the phone, and some you can lose large money that way. And the teachers are giving up. I overheard one teacher say to another teacher, "This is above my pay grade." L'Oreal, it is. I was on the track one day. My daughter ran track also. And while they were doing practice, I was walking around the track, and I was behind two teachers. I really wasn't paying attention, but one of them said something to the effect that I'm just here to get a paycheck. And this was a while ago, and that's true. But a lot of them are tired of those children, and the fact that they're not being raised properly, and they come in there with the attitudes, cursing. Um, it's amazing how the children are really, really unruly because the parents. It's a cycle that we need to break, you all. Whatever neighborhood you come from, whatever your ethnic background, it's a cycle that we need to break. Where I'm at now, they're forcing everyone to get travel cards. EJ, tell me what a travel card is. I don't know what that is, but I don't like that word force. So if somebody's forcing somebody to do something, I want to know about what it is. Okay, is that delirium 9? I'm still somewhat traumatized. The pandemic mandates, if I don't find a job by the end of September, I will have to stop my credit card payments. Ugh. Well, credit card payments are unsecured debt. Hoping that you find something, but also I'm suggesting, as I was going to get into anyway, is that you start a home based business. I have heard people that used to make six figures tell me that them laying me off because I was making six figures and they figured out they could hire three people to replace me and do more work, them letting me go was the best thing that ever happened. I've heard several people say that because we all have skills. There's something that we can offer the marketplace. We have skills. And even if you can't really start something that is all your own, you can hire yourself out as a contractor. Now, one of the things that being self-employed, for let me go back. There's a difference between owning a business and being self-employed. And I did a video about this. And just in case you didn't see it, you are self-employed when you the difference between business and self-employed. When you're self-employed, if you get sick or if you go on vacation, there's no money coming in. If you own a business, you have systems in place and multiple streams of income to where if you go on vacation or if you get sick, there's still money coming in. So, for example, if you're self-employed and you have a contract with three different companies that you do something for them, you create something for them, uh, they'll give you a 1099 at the end of the year. You have some kind of skill to be able to do that. You have something to market out there while you wait on a job. Now, to me, for my clients, the ideal thing is to have a job, whether you're working full time or part time, that's paying decent money. It's paying your rent or your mortgage, your electricity, your gas, those kinds of things. It's paying those things. And it has life insurance and health insurance. So you got this job that you go into either full time or part time. Then you start your business on the side and you concentrate on, what do I want? Why do I want it? What am I willing to give up to get it? Am I willing to give up TV when I get home from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night in order to take some of that time to grow my home based business? Then, when your business is making money, you got the job over there paying for all of your regular expenses. And then you're taking that money and doing three things with it: getting out of debt, putting it back into the business, and then investing. So there you go. All right, let's see. I'm going to go back in the chat because I think it moved a little bit faster. Those companies can pay $20. The companies are not up to date on innovations to keep revenue going. They don't want to change. They don't want to change because they don't want to reduce the profit that they're getting. Do you realize that there are CEOs, CFOs, and COOs in this country that make more money in one day than a good percentage of the people in this country make in a whole year? They don't want to stop that, but again, in this society, they don't have to. So it's not them that has to change, it's us that have to change. The fastest, quickest book that I ever read was Who Stole My Cheese? That's your assignment for the day. I forgot who made the book, but if you Google Who Stole My Cheese, read that book. Because my dad used to tell me when I used to fuss about how teachers treated me or how I felt about the assignments and stuff, he looked at me and shake his head and say, but they're the one with the pen. And I understand totally what that means. Specialization is for insects. Okay. I don't get that, but I know there are certain things that you need to specialize in, but they're like major stuff like heart surgery and things like that. Okay, so EJ says, I've had ER playing Candy Crush during my interview. Oh, come on. This is just talk about unprofessional. If you're not a jack of all trades and are good at it, you're sunk. So yeah, we have multiple skills, and yeah, you want to use them on the job and stuff, but you really want to use them for yourself. Yep, multiple streams of income is what we need. I saw it coming 30 years ago also, and I saw also that these kids weren't going to have skills because they were getting away with so much in schools. Yep, there's nothing on TV or on the radio seems. Creditors wanting to be slave debtors, and they will fight to stay. Yeah, debtors. Yeah, that's so sad. So sad. I stopped watching television some time ago, but I used to listen to the radio, and I stopped listening to the radio during the election of 2016. I just I got fed up with all the foolishness and the propaganda, and I stopped. So that's when I became, somebody that tries to pay attention. And see, when we have social media, we can pick and choose what we want to watch. I don't have to sit there and watch anything. And I don't even have to watch it when it happens. I don't have to watch it live. So I get all of my news. I'm a night person. I'm a night person. I'll stay up all night for you, but don't ask me to get up in the morning. I had to stop people from calling me in the morning, like my grandmother. I gotta tell. No, you don't have to tell me this right now. It can wait. I'll forget. No, you need to write it down. Don't call me in the morning like this. Anyway, there's yes. Let's see. I drive an hour to work. I talked about this in one of my advertisements. Oh my goodness. Let me go where. Let me. Okay, Nate. I drive an hour to work. Don't be afraid to find a job far away until you can move closer to your job. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to get to make some money. And right now, with things coming down the pike that don't seem to be really favorable to us, we need to do whatever it is we need to do. Maybe you can find a closer job to where you live, but for right now, get up a little earlier and leave a little later so that you'll miss the traffic in certain areas. Natural observation. I make less now than I did 2 years ago. I quit a very well paying job as it became too dangerous after they hired new young guys who didn't know how to work and didn't want to work. Yes, that's so unfortunate. But they can, somebody that doesn't want to work and doesn't know what they're doing can put your life in danger. So I'm glad that you made that decision, even though it's less. Now, what you might want to do is use your skill to go and start a business and see what other companies you could solicit to get your services. The EJ, they're getting really strange. I was in a group interview yesterday, and they left the Zoom interview because the lady was fussing, talking loud with her head tied up, acting ratchet. This is a job interview? Oh, gracious. This is getting real. Okay, so back to that credit. It's a credit card they make you get to travel for work purposes. If you refuse, you can forfeit your position. Why would they make you get a Okay, so maybe it's a way for them to keep up with the expenses better. Maybe they had some trouble with people, maybe not turning in the receipts or whatever. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on with travel on the job. I had one girl that they used to give her money in advance to go and well, I take that back. She had a card and she would use the card, her credit card for the job, and then they would it was strange, but they would reimburse her for her to pay the card, and she wasn't paying the card with it, so she got fired. Okay, let's see. Uh-oh, come on. Yes, my last position was as a contractor, 1 year for Dell Technologies and Raytheon. Thankful they did not care. Thankfully, they did not care about my shot status. For now, keeping my yeah, that whole thing really really bothered me because now that we know, well, some of us knew ahead of time, but now that they're actually exposing the fact that shooting people with poison didn't stop anything and it did a whole lot of damage, there are people suing. I just saw a story, a lady getting 120 or $122,000 from the company she worked for because she was fired because she on for religious purposes she rejected doing it and they fired her, but now she's getting money. So I wonder how many more of these lawsuits are going to start coming through. A lot of people can't afford to file a lawsuit, but maybe some class action suits will come through for people that have were forced to do things that they didn't want to do just to keep a job. And a lot of people just said, "Hey, you know what? I got to do this. I don't want to do it. I got to do it, but because I need to pay my bills, especially, head of household, men are saying, I got this job. I've had this job for 15 years or 10 years. And now they're saying I got to do this. And it'll be hard for me to find another job right now because everything's shut down. And I don't want to do this. But, you know, Lord help me, I got to do it. So, what is the easiest way to learn taxes? I really don't know the easiest way to learn. If you want to learn to do taxes where you just get the information from the client and then fill out papers and then give it back, you can go through a class with H&R Block or somebody like that. If you want to really, I think that they also, there's an enrolled agent class where they teach you, and then once you pass that class, you get certification to be able to prepare tax returns before the IRS, just like a CPA or just like an attorney. Um, I teach people. The way I teach people is dig, 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 right off everything but the kitchen sink. That's just something that I do. So some of the people that some of my clients want me to teach them so they won't have to pay somebody $500 to $1,800 a year to do it. So I teach them how to do their own, and I teach them how to write off everything but the kitchen sink. So I don't know what the easiest way is. It's not necessarily the easiest way that's going to get you good. You want to be good at it. You want to be like people call me the deduction queen. You want to be like, I know these things, and continuing to learn new things, because I've learned a lot of new things that came up that help. The jibby jabby people are all now getting loopy and confused. So, me being who I am, people come and tell me stuff. They just want to confess to me. And back then, when this stuff was going on, right at the beginning of it, I had someone contact me that had contacts in Asia. And the things that they told me that were going to happen, unfortunately, are happening. Unfortunately. Um, let's see. Oh, good, Nate. I watched The Great Taking, like you suggested. Read Grace Commission report requested. Okay, Nate did his homework. All right. By President Ronald Reagan, and the taxes for revenue are obsolete. Make you really want to start your own business. Yay, that's my purpose, guys. I want you guys to start your own home-based business. Nate did his homework. Nate gets a star. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to learn how to do all the effects and stuff at some point or another. When my assistant comes back in town, probably the first week in April. I mean April. The first week in August. The first thing I'm going to do is have him come over and teach me how to do these things, because I feel like doing the little clapping hands or something like that. Okay, L'Oreal's a night person too. I don't know. I've always been like that. It's a family thing. It is. Most of my family. My cousin might text me at 12:30 and say, "Are you still up?" And then I'll just text her the laughing face, like, "What do you think?" Now, let's see. Okay. Let's to dumb us down. Yes, there's a lady that did a whole teaching and videos on how they've dumbed us down. And I used to do a presentation, and it was just full of quotes from different people in the education departments and stuff. And started out with, I think it was Mayor Rothschild saying to give me control of the money, and give me control of the education, and I care not who runs the money, or something like that. I know that this is all by design, and we have to understand that all of this is by design. All this presidential stuff is going on, this vice presidential stuff that's going on. this person on the roof stuff is going on. All this stuff is by design. Please don't get confused or get duped by the fact that they think that you are a sheeple. And that's not who I am. I had a job being beginning of the year as a screener, and the man told me to log out for the day during my training, and I didn't go back the next day. Okay, okay. Okay, so I wanted to again ask you guys to help me out. I am going to try to be really, really more consistent. I got a lot of stuff going on in my life, but I'm going to be, since I'm the night person and stuff goes on during the day, and I've got two grandchildren and all this other stuff, I'm going to try to do these at night, but please get the word out about the videos, like, share, subscribe. I know all that stuff. And I am having a challenge, an escape the rat race challenge. If you want to learn from me how to escape the rat race, that challenge is going to be August 21st, 2nd, and 3rd. I should have written that down. I think I got distracted and did not do that. So let me look at the calendar. So it is August 21st, 2nd, and 3rd. So all of my challenges are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I figure, because I have standing clients on certain nights, and I want to do it during the night. A lot of people do theirs during the day, but I know a lot of you guys, you work during the day. So I'm doing them at night when everybody's home and can do that. So the 21st, 2nd, and 3rd of August, if you go to escapetheratracechallenge.com, I believe it is, you'll see the information about it. And I want to teach some specific stuff about getting out of the rat race. Somebody got in touch with me last night about going to Costa Rica. I let them know that I do take people with me to Costa Rica if they're serious about wanting to learn how to invest internationally. Let's see what else has come up. Didn't the education and history change in the 20s? It changed during the industrial age because they figure they wanted to flow all of these people into these factories. So they changed everything. We were agriculture, uh, more agricultural society. And then when the manufacturing came in, they wanted to lead everybody into these jobs. So it was around the 20s where they changed everything, and they made it to where people would be just like an assembly line into the assembly lines. Let's see. So yeah, there are some people that saying that you can get detoxed from any kind of injections that you've taken. And I've been looking into that because I know some people, unfortunately, that did that. And a couple of the good people that I know, like Ed Griffin and some others, are touting some help for those people that got injected. Do you still travel for in-person presentations? I will, but I do. I have people sponsor me. So before, when I was traveling, somebody would say, "Hey, come to Dallas," or "Hey, come to uh, Phoenix," or "Hey, come to LA," and I've got a group of people, and I would go out there, and they didn't get the group of people, and I just spent a whole bunch of money. So what I do travel in person. Um, People get in touch with me, and then we work that out. So, they take care of the air, the hotel, and all that, because I don't want to be the only one with skin in the game when I get somewhere and there's 5 people in the room, and they were all invited by me when you said you had 50 people. So yeah, but I do. If you're interested, get in touch with me. Connect at sherrypeeljackson.com. Okay. When I start my own business, I will I be able to use my own money to buy my business product? Will the IRS call that a hobby? No, usually when people start a business, you got to use your own money, unless you want to go and get a loan. I don't suggest borrowing money for business until you're at a point where that borrowing that money for your business is going to bring a return. In other words, you can pay it back. If I go get a loan for some equipment, for example, I know that I already have a contract where that person is going to pay me because I'm going to use whatever that equipment is to produce their product. So yeah, using your own money from your job. So that's how you really get your home-based business started. You and you want it to be something that you do from home. So if you need to go buy a printer, computer, copiers, and things like that, then you use the extra money from your check to do that, so that you can produce whatever it is that you produce. If you're an artist, you got the art supplies, those kinds of things. If you know how to help people do things, a lot of you do. I talk to people so much, and it's like, oh yeah, and I taught them how to do this, and I'm like, how much did you charge? It's like, oh well, I did it free. No, your time and energy are valuable, and when people know that, then they'll pay you for it. And if they don't understand that, then they can go find it somewhere else for free, which they won't. But yeah, use your own money for your business, and then that's a write-off. So you get to write all that off. Let me give you an example. So if you have a business, or you start a business right now, and by the end of the year you've made $1,000, but you spent $5,000. So you really have a $4,000 loss. So put a pin right there in the $4,000 loss. Over here, you have a job, and you're making $70,000 on your job, and you have that W-2 for $70,000. Now, instead of being taxed on $70,000, you're going to be taxed on $66,000 instead, because you have a $70,000 W-2 and you have a $4,000 loss in your business. So that's 66,000 that you'll be taxed on instead of 70. So that's going to save you some. And then there'll be some other credits that you may be able to get. So having a home-based business, now they'll tell you that, oh, if you have a business and you have losses for more than 3 years, then they're going to reclassify it as a hobby. Well, there are some businesses like restaurants and other things that aren't going to make a profit in 3 years. And because of what happened in 2020, 2021, a lot of businesses didn't make a profit. So they might have 5 or 6 years of loss. So that's not something that's in stone. If you can prove that you were trying to make money in this business, they can't make it a hobby. I remember being an IRS agent, and this guy had a race car, and it was like $120,000 race car. Plus, he had a job that was making about 100 something $1,000, and he wrote off a whole bunch of expenses with this race car. And I tried to take it away as a hobby, and I lost that case because they said the man, he was operating a business even though it was at a loss. So don't worry about that. Just get your business. Keep up with your expenses, though. Keep up with them. Come to Tampa. I have an uncle in Tampa. I came to Tampa in 2023. I was there in June 2023. I attended a big event. My mentor Myron Golden had a big event, and I attended that. But yeah, you tell me to come, but I can't come just for one person. I do a lot of my clients now on Zoom. If somebody says, "Look, I got 100 people in Tampa, and we're all of part of a group, and we're willing to fly you down, and you do a presentation for us," yeah, I'll do that. I like doing that. I like traveling to I like face to face more so because I'm hands on. You see, I'm animated, and I think that being in front of a live audience is great. And I say things in a live audience that I don't necessarily say on here. That's another thing. But let's see. Thinking about going, I've been getting your emails, but as you can see, I have a lot going on trying to transition from jobs to my own business. That's a good thing though. That's priority. Getting your own business right now for every one of you is priority. Unless you can balance a checkbook really, and I mean really well, do not finance a new upstart. Do not finance an upstart business. One of the presentations that I do is use what you have. Use what you have already. And if you need a little extra money, go to relatives and friends for it. Don't finance, because it's a trap. If you have a guarantee that you're going to make some money, then you can finance. Like I refinanced my house to make an apartment in the basement, knowing that if I furnished that thing and it was nice, then somebody was going to get it. And how long was it on the market? 1 day. That was September. No, it went on the market in August of 2020. The same person is down in my basement. The same person. So, unless you have good knowledge about whatever it is you're going to finance is going to make money, please don't do it. You're right. And balance a checkbook or not, make sure that you see clear. A lot of people don't have foresight. You got to see 3 or 4 steps ahead what's going to happen. I know a lot of people didn't. We could not fathom what happened in 2020, 21. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in the normal course of business. If you're going to start a business, unless you already have a contract, don't finance. Growing food, when it's ready, I buy the produce from my business, making myself not only the business owner but the customer. Well, it depends on what kind of structure you put together for that corporate structure versus not. Okay, Mr. GC15. I know someone personally who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and the medication plus chemo the doctors was giving her was making it work. So for that, how many put a one in the chat if you've ever heard of Ty Bollinger. He put out a series called Search for the Cure for Cancer and the Truth About Cancer. Anyway, he did this series and he had a whole bunch of doctors on there telling you what they did. I mean, some of them had inoperable brain cancer, and they cured it with the diet and getting rid of things and stuff. So Ty Bollinger. Now, the mainstream establishment medicine calls him and others like him quacks. Those are the people I like to listen to, because if the mainstream is coming out against somebody, I want to hear what they have to say, because I know that the mainstream is usually leading me in the wrong direction. So, Ty's a good person. But yeah, that whole thing about um, what they give people in these instances. I know of people who have taken. I'm not even just different things. They've done different things to rid their bodies of disease. As of now, the weather dictates my income for my business. I do want to add another service to counter this issue. I think you should, because the weather, yeah, that would be, yeah, start another business that doesn't have anything to do with the weather. And you could be doing that one in the house while it's raining. So I am going to get ready to go. Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. GC15. Hit the like button. I like, share, subscribe. I always forget those things. So if you don't know what kind of business to start, do what you're passionate about, such as travel, cooking, going to restaurants, and recording and review. Great, paid for what you love, and save taxes. Yeah. People say that they don't know, but I probe and find different things that people are passionate about. Some things you got to do right now. I tell people to try not to do things that you're not passionate about, but right now, do whatever's going to bring you the money, because we got some serious stuff going on. So tomorrow night is Thursday, and I'm gonna try my best to come. I have I have it down, but I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. I'm just going. I have guests coming in town, and so I'm just gonna tell them that I need to retreat. I don't have a door to my office. My office is kind of like off the kitchen, so the kitchen is up here, and but I'll just try to see if I can get them to keep the noise down while I meet with you all with another subject. I think I want to talk a little bit more about the United States and business and what you should be doing. So, with that, thank you all and have a great night. For those of you that are getting your third win like me, go and do what it is you do at night. um, to make that money so we will be escaping the rat race. Talk to you soon.